Welcome to the Tiffany Micah podcast. What we do here is build the strength and courage in you to accomplish your big dreams and goals in your sport. No longer will you feel limited. You won't feel you're not good enough. You won't question whether you will make it. Those doubts will disappear because you will have the competitive edge over your opponents and leave them in your wake. And the bonus is others will notice. Listen up and take notes because I will show you exactly how to do it. Hey there, this is Tiff from Tiffany Micah Podcast and welcome to today's episode. What I want to share with you today is actually Novak Djokovic's interview from after he won the Australian Open final here late January. It's only 2 weeks ago or so. I've actually recorded the interview for you so that you can actually hear what he has to say and the questions that were posed to him for his performance in the final, because it was a really tough match. It could have gone either way. And Dominik Theim played absolutely fantastic, and I think he's the next one. He's the next one that's going to come through as, you know, one of the champions. That's my belief. But I want to share with you Novak's interview because I want you to listen to what he has to say, and then we're going to look at those lessons that that he's actually talking about, what he's learned, and also what he's working on to create a successful player, win more tournaments, obviously win more matches to win the tournaments, and his approach. Okay, so don't go anywhere. Make sure you listen to this interview, and then we'll look at the lessons learned from that. Okay, enjoy.
Well, I thank you. I mean, of course, I am grateful to have an opportunity to win another Australian Open trophy. Obviously, at this stage of my career, Grand Slams are the ones that I value the most. They're the ones that I prioritize. Before the season starts, I try to set my form shape for these events where I can be at my prime tennis and mental and physical abilities. And there are a lot of stats that obviously I am proud of, but sets the tone for the rest of the year. I've had that privilege to win this big tournament for 8 times and start off the season with a Grand Slam win, significantly boosts your confidence and your expectations are quite high, for the rest of the season. But whatever happens, the season is already successful. So what I can do still to improve, there are many things on the tennis court that I can still improve, and that's something that excites me and that motivates me to go day in and day out with my commitments, with my practice sessions, because there's always something to work on, and there are always more trophies to win.
Novak, a year ago we sat in this room with you and it was revisiting the zone because of the match you played against Rafa was so good. How do we talk about this one tonight?
Turbulent, I would say. It started off really well. I broke his serve right away. I felt, experience on my side on playing many Australian Open finals, and for him it was probably it was very important for me to try to break his serve very early in the match, which happened. He kind of broke back and got back into the first set, but I won the first set. Then I played a bad game in the beginning of the second, couple of double faults, and then I just, after I lost the second set, I started to feel really bad on the court. My energy dropped significantly. To be honest, I don't still understand the reason why that has happened, because I've been doing the things that I've been doing before all of my matches. So I mean, I was hydrated well and everything, but apparently the doctor said I wasn't hydrated enough. So kind of regained my energy and strength midway in the fourth set and got back into the match. I was on the brink of losing the match. Dominik, is a fantastic tennis player that plays with tremendous amount of power in his shots, especially from the forehand side. He uses his slice really well, so he disrupted my rhythm in my game at one point, and he was a better player. I mean, he 1 point and probably 1 shot separated us tonight, and it could have gone a different way. I served and volleyed when I was facing a break point in the fourth and in the fifth. It worked both of the times, but it could have also been differently. It's serve and volley is not something I'm accustomed to. I'm not really doing that often, but I kind of recognize that as an important tactics that in those circumstances, and I'm really happy it worked.
Grand Slam number 17, now next to your name. What's the main feeling? Is it what wow amazing or 4 more to go to get the result?
Both. I was sharing with with my team and also with some other people just post match in conversations when they ask me how I feel. I feel exhausted at the moment. It's been a very successful but long month here in Australia, and I'll probably won't be able to comprehend the achievements I had in my career, especially at Grand Slams, until I retire from tennis, because the intensity of the tennis season, especially if you're committed to play full season, which I am for many years already, is just it doesn't allow you to kind of reflect and enjoy the success of a big Grand Slam trophy, because already in few weeks time I'll be playing a tournament somewhere else in a different part of the world. So I don't take it for granted, don't get me wrong. I'm super happy and grateful and blessed, but at the same time I probably won't be able to go through all different emotions until I have some time and I relax myself with my family, and then looking at the horizon we can dig deep in the emotions.
What did you tell yourself at the end of the third set, and did you feel like you were feeling kind of physically good enough to come back?
I definitely did not feel good, and I didn't know what the next moment brings. I was trying to keep myself alive mentally as well and emotionally, because it was disappointing in a way from my side to actually feel this way. I was a bit shocked that I did feel that way, because everything was fine before the match. For first 2 sets everything was okay. But it's something that you have to accept, that you're going through, and those kind of circumstances really kind of force me to let things go and to really try to be in the moment and fight my way back. As I said, facing a break point early in the fourth was a critical moment where things turned around, really. I felt, I started to accelerate on my serve, I started to move better, and I felt that he started to make a few more mistakes than in the second and third set, and I felt an opportunity and I seized it. After that, in the fifth set, it was anybody's game, really. And I knew that very early in the fifth set, it was crucial for me to make a break, because I had that mental edge again, and that was enough, to win it.
During the match, when you were 1-2 down, stats came up that you never have won a Grand Slam final 1-2 down. I just wonder if this was in your head during the match, and on your well-being during the match. On the TV screen it was shown that your team mixed something up, a drink or a powder stuff in at each set, and Ball Boys was bringing it to you. Just wonder what it was and how it helped you with the well-being.
Well, I did not see the stats, and I did not know that I never came back from 2-1 deficit in sets in the Grand Slam final. So I wasn't really thinking about it. And the liquids were magic potions that my physio Uli prepares in his lab. That's all I can say.
You spoke a little while ago about the idea of historic number one, and that
Yes.
maybe sort of big picture competition that there is now between you, Roger Federer, and Rafael Nadal. I'm wondering, I would imagine at some point earlier on that wasn't even considered a possibility to you. I'm wondering if you can pinpoint a moment when that ambition became realistic to you, and you thought,
All these guys that were winning most Grand Slams in their careers and the history of tennis. So the number one was not really in the equation for me until I successfully finished as a year number one for several years in a row, and then I guess I can't identify exactly the moment when I started thinking about it, but that's one of the two biggest goals for sure. I mean, there's no secret in that.
Since you did not try the champagne, do you not drink any alcohol at all? And what is in your bottle?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not wine. I thought you're probably thinking it's red wine. It's not. It's a hydration drink that I usually drink, an antioxidant drink. And no, I will not. I will not drink alcohol. I don't drink it in general. I don't enjoy it. So my brother will probably glass.
What were your observations on the 2 time violations you received in that game? And after the changeover, or during the changeover, you touched the umpire, which is a breach of protocol. Do you accept in the heat of battle, out the heat of battle, that was the wrong decision?
I thought that the second violation was not necessary. The first one, fine, no problem. The second one, was just not necessary under the circumstances or experience. Triump, I thought that, he probably, in my opinion, could have reacted a little bit better in that situation. But because, this kind of things and games, switched the momentum of the match, and, it was a very important game, obviously, 4-all. I broke his serve back, got myself back in the second set, and then, I lost that game, and he won the second set, and then that completely changed the momentum of the match. For touching his shoe, I mean, I didn't know that it was that's completely forbidden. I thought it was a nice, really friendly touch. I wasn't aggressive with him in terms of physical abuse. I just couldn't believe that I got the time violation. That kind of disturbed me, and that's all there is to it. Verbally we did have some exchanges, but no insults, because if I did insult him, I would get a warning. Right now that you tell me that, I want to thank him for not giving me a warning for touching him. So that's all I can say.
You had this great comeback tonight, and you and the other two in the big three, time and again, managed to come back and triumph under incredible circumstances. What do you think, as athletes and people, are within you that enables you to succeed so often?
Well, it's hard to speak on behalf of Roger and Rafa. I mean, I obviously have utmost respect for these guys and admiration for who they are and what they have achieved and how they go about things on and off the court. I can speak in my own behalf. I mean, I think we all had different trajectories in our lives. I mean, we all grew up in different circumstances, in different countries, different upbringing. My upbringing was, in Serbia during several wars during 90s, and difficult time and embargo in our country where we had to wait in line for bread and milk and water and some basic things in life, these kind of things that make you stronger and make you hungrier for success, I think, in whatever you choose to do, and that probably has been my foundation, the very fact that I came from literally nothing and difficult life circumstances together with my family and with my people, and going back to that and reminding myself where I came from always inspires me, motivates me to push even harder, and so that's probably one of the reasons why I managed to find that extra gear or necessary, I guess, mental strength to overcome challenges when they present themselves.
Mate, I was preparing some sort of question about deja vu and sort of doing it easily again, but tonight was a very different beast of a match. For you, how was it out there? And as a comeback, where does it rank among your greatest ones?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you guys for staying this late, for coming out to support. I assume not everyone here has seen it on the Rod Laver Live, so I want to thank everybody for hanging in here and watching it on the big screen. Margaret Court Arena is obviously one of the new courts, and it's a lovely court. Hopefully you guys enjoy the tennis show you saw tonight. It was definitely one of the toughest finals I had here in Australia. And I was on brink of losing that match. I was 2-1 down. I didn't feel that great. Dominik started dominating from back of the court, from the baseline. He played a great match, and I think it was a break point in fourth set and 2-1 for him. I served and volleyed and played two good volleys that got me back in the match. After that, I regained the strength to pull that one through in the fourth, and the fifth was anybody's game, really. We were both tired. You could see it towards the end of the match, but we gave it all, and one of us unfortunately had to lose, and I wish Dominik all the best of luck for the rest of the season.
We saw the full spectrum of emotions from both players tonight. I'm curious to know, where do you go in your head to adapt your mentality in specific circumstances in the match to turn it around into your favour? Because that is an incredible thing to watch play out.
Well, I think the key is not to go anywhere, actually, to stay in your head. And that's probably harder than it sounds or that it seems, because we, not just athletes, but people in general, tend to live and spend a lot of time in the past or the future, anticipating what is going to happen, which creates a lot of, obviously, fear, a lot of uncertainty, and the only thing that really truly has the power is and is real is the very moment, the very present moment that you have. So it's of course easier said than done. It's like a cliche as well for people, constantly say, stay in the moment, try to breathe, bring yourself back to what you can control, the only thing that you can control, which is yourself and what you do. And it's a lot of things that are happening mentally. I mean, in this kind of physical battle, mental battle is is even bigger when you play against one of the top players of the world for one of the biggest trophies in the world. And of course, there's so many times and so many moments in the match where you just lose concentration, and that's okay, But how quickly you come back, that probably defines you as a winner.
Okay, so what did you think of that? There's a lot of lessons in there, isn't there? There's a lot of valuable takeaways that you can actually bring out of Novak's interview. You actually heard two interviews. The first one was actually at the press conference straight after, and then the second one where you heard all the crowd, that was actually in Margaret Court Arena, where there was a bit of a party going on after the final. It would have been great. Brings up a lot of emotion for me when I hear this. Anyway, so when we look at what Novak has actually had to say, what kind of lessons can we draw from that? And what I've actually done is I've actually really stripped out 11 lessons from that. Now, just before I share these lessons, I did record these from the Australian Open videos that were actually taken on Channel 9, so I just want to acknowledge that's what I've actually done. But let's get into these lessons that Novak's actually shared. So when the first thing that he talked about was the Grand Slam events. Now, in tennis, they're the most important events of the calendar year for tournaments. The Grand Slam events are 2-week events, and what Novak does is he prioritizes the Grand Slam events as the ultimate tournaments. Obviously, he wants to win them. Who wouldn't? So before the season starts, what he does is he sets his form and prepares for making sure that he's in his prime tennis, like his best performance that he can, both mentally and physically. So he prepares himself for that. So what he has done, and he's actually done that 8 times now, which you've probably heard throughout the interview, that he's won the Australian Open 8 times. So he views that he's actually started off the season because he's had a Grand Slam win. It's boosted his confidence, and that he sees that's now success, set him up for a successful year. And he's even acknowledged that no matter what happens throughout this season, this tennis season, he's already had a successful year because he's already won a Grand Slam event, which is what his goal obviously was to do. Second point that he shared, second lesson that he talked about was improvement. So even though that he's gone back into the number 1 position in the world, he still can see and identify that there's many things that he can improve on in his tennis, and that actually it motivates him and it excites him because he's willing to do the work, he's willing to grind it out in his practice sessions, he's willing to give that the commitment because he can see that there's areas in which he can still improve on. Now, isn't that amazing? Now, he's number 1, and he keeps looking for feedback. Okay, where are areas that I can improve? Okay. Number 3. So what happened throughout the match? He did have an energy drop, and he felt bad. He said his energy did drop. He couldn't understand why the energy drop that actually occurred, and that's where he began to struggle throughout the match. And he was facing a loss, and he couldn't understand why that had happened because he always prepared the same way prior to each of his matches. But the feedback that he got when he took some time out, the feedback that he got from the doctor that came on said that he wasn't hydrated enough. So that explained why there was that energy drop. He obviously had certain concoctions that his physiotherapist had made up for him to keep his energy levels up. But obviously that dehydration. So the big key there, you always want to make sure that you're incredibly hydrated, especially for these big matches. Number 4, took risks. So when he was actually, facing defeat in parts of that match, what he did, he actually did something that he doesn't normally do, and he served and volleyed. It's not a strength in his game. It's not an area that you would say that he's ultimately confident with, because he loves to dominate from the back of the court. But he felt fortunate that it worked both times, and he recognises that it's important to change tactics, change it up, and it's almost like experiment and take risks. Because what he actually did by taking, especially at times when he was down, there was 2 specific times that he brought up where he was down and facing, defeat and facing that challenge, he decided to serve and volley. So he took a risk. It worked. And he felt that those were important moments in which that changed the match for him. And obviously it built confidence so that he could then go out and do what he needed to do. Number 5, he actually is not in a place mentally where he can actually appreciate what he's actually already achieved. So he's not yet going to recognize the achievements, like really take them in, because what he then does is after he's won a tournament, or once a tournament is over, he doesn't really have the opportunity to reflect what he's actually achieved, because he has to move on and prepare for the next tournament. So he's like, okay, that's done. It's like, when you achieve a goal, you're like, okay, well, I've done that. Now what's next? So that's basically where he's at. So he won't really be able to embrace what he's actually accomplished pretty much until he's finished his tennis career. Number 6, acceptance. So with acceptance, he accepts the challenges that he's facing. So what he does is, because he knows that all he can do is the best that he can do. So what he focuses on is staying in the moment, and he fights his way back and tries to give himself every opportunity that he possibly can. So that leads us into number 7, which is actually seizing the opportunity. So what he noticed was when Dominik started to miss a few shots, he wasn't playing as well as he did in the first few sets. Novak was sort of coming back, and he was starting to feel stronger physically and mentally. He seized the opportunity. So he noticed that Dominik was starting to make a few errors, and because Novak is the champion that he is, the athlete that he is, he was able to seize the opportunity and run with it, and that's what he did. Number 8, he actually acknowledged that it's anybody's game. He was very aware of what an incredible match he had played. He's very aware about the incredible athlete and tennis player that Dominik is. And he said, look, like in the 5th set, it could have been anybody's game. And what he was able to do was he was able to seize that mental energy, that physical energy that he was able to regain, and he seized that opportunity. Number 9, in the heat of the battle. So if you didn't get to see the match, what actually happened was that he went through a time violation with his serve, and that really set him off. And that actually happened to us twice, which you would have heard in the interview. And what he did then, he fired up at the change of ends and went and touched the umpire's foot, and he actually didn't know that was a violation, that he wasn't allowed to touch the umpire at all. Obviously you could see the frustration, and he felt that what actually happened in that moment, and you could see it really rattle him, that it really changed the momentum and tended to go more towards Dominik's favour, because then that he got disrupted mentally by that. He was really angry about what happened, and he reacted. So it took him obviously some time to regain himself mentally in order for him to regain that, and that could have been also part of the frustration that he was feeling, the energy slump that he was feeling, and trying to fight his way out of that. You could see that actually happening. Number 10, triumphing under pressure. So a triumph under pressure. So how he sees that is he actually reminds himself where he has come from. He grew up in difficult times. There was war, food was scarce. It's talking about how they had to line up for food. So what he does is he reflects and looks back at what difficult times that he and his family had, and he said it makes you hungry. It makes you hungry for success. It makes you and motivates you to push harder. And he feels that that's given him the mental strength to overcome challenges. So those challenges that he faced as a young person helped him build the mental strength into giving him those foundations that has given him the opportunity to become the athlete that he's now become. Number 11, on the brink of losing, and this is the final one, and I've called it the brink of losing of what actually he was going through. So he didn't feel good. Dominik was playing really well. He was incredibly strong, both sides of the court, moved around, incredible serve. And Novak acknowledged that it could have been anyone's game. But when he was looking down that, down through the barrel, and all he could do, because he could see that he was going to, it could have gone either way. What he said was that he was on that brink of losing, gave it his all, but how he gave it his all is what he then did mentally to bring himself back. And what he did was that he didn't go to another place mentally. He said that the worst thing that you can do is actually go somewhere else. You've got to stay in your head, because what happens is when things are not working the way we want them to, we can either go to the past and reflect back to past events, go into what may happen in the future and anticipate some things that we don't want to happen. Those what if stories. If you heard an episode that I shared about fear, and you go into those what if stories and so on, and there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty. And what he has acknowledged and he's very aware of, that has that true power, is actually staying in the present moment. So he acknowledges that the only thing that he can control is what he's doing right now. So that, it's breathing, staying within the moments that are actually going on right now, because he understands that it's a mental and physical battle and that he can lose concentration, but it's how he has come back and be able to control what's actually going on. He's in the heat of the battle. He's on the brink of losing. He's looking down the barrel. And it's tough, right? Physically, tough mentally. Easy to lose your concentration throughout the match. Easy to get rattled, right? We saw that right throughout. But he was talking about staying in control. Big point here. It's staying in control. And when he says how, winners are made, it's even though that they can lose concentration. Everyone loses concentration, but the power is actually in how quickly you come back and recover is actually what makes you a winner. Great words. So I'm sure you've learned a lot from what Novak's actually talked about throughout winning the Australian Open this year. Hope you really enjoyed the lessons that I could strip out of what he actually had to say. There was those 11 lessons there. So make sure you listen to this interview quite a bit. Listen to the lessons that we've actually learned from Novak so that it helps you become the athlete that you want to become. There's a lot of great content in there. There's a lot of great things that you can actually implement into what you're doing and into your future so that you can create what you want to create out of you, okay? And just a reminder, the Get Focused program's coming out very soon. We'll be looking at some of these areas as well to help you become the athlete that you want to become. Be focused and doing and achieving all those big dreams that you're going after. So I want you to dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams, have an absolutely awesome day. Take care. Talk soon. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you haven't yet downloaded the #1 deadly mistake athletes make sure you go to tiffany-micah.com and download the #1 deadly mistake athletes make. Share with me what you like best about what you heard in the comments section wherever you hear this episode. Share with your friends that you know that would benefit from these episodes, and please leave a 5-star review wherever you hear these episodes. I would really appreciate it. Dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams, have an absolutely awesome day.